This is a presentation on cloud computing by Josh Haluska. Um, start with getting into things. Cloud computing has come a long way since it was first introduced. However, to begin, we need to know what cloud computing is. Um, the basic dictionary definition is the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data. Rather than a local server or a personal computer, essentially what this is instead of storing stuff on your own personal computer or through your organization's server, it is stored outside of the data constraints and infrastructure of the local network. Um, to start, cloud was designed or was first thought of back in the 50s, or an idea of which basically a mainframe computing. Um, Now, the computer wasn't back then available like it is now through many hands. However, they did have little units, per se, that they were able to send to the mainframe, the big computer, and retrieve information off of it. Essentially, that's what the cloud is. Uh, then in the 70s, they came up with the concept of virtual machines. A virtual machine basically was a utilization of different software that would allow two different operating systems to simultaneously be on the same computer. So I could have a Windows computer with Mac software on it, or vice versa. I could have a Mac computer and have Windows on it, so that I can have the best of both worlds, per se. Um, this was the first virtual type use of it. Then in the 90s, telecommunications companies started offering virtualized private networks to where basically um, they had a single dedicated point-to-point data connection to where you could relay information back and forth to each other, um, and the physical infrastructure would allow more users to have their own connections, and telecommunication providers um, to use shared access to the same physical infrastructure. Um, Nowadays, um, the cloud has taken off into a commercial type corporation where companies are charging people to store their data. However, you don't have to manage that data. It's always backed up. It doesn't consume any of your power. There's so many different benefits through it, and we'll get into that in a minute. Um, it is rented in chunks. You pay for what you get, or you get what you pay for. Um, if you're only using a certain amount, some companies charge you that way, or some companies charge you in a sense of we're allowing you to use this much. Um, um, there are other things like features that you would pay for that we're going to get into here next. Um, and obviously, your backup and troubleshooting is done by outside resources. You accidentally delete something, there's no trying to figure out how to get it. All you got to do, call your technical support. And 9 times out of 10, they do all their own backups. They can just go ahead and put that file or um, folder back into um, your area instead of it being lost forever. Now, there are three protocols for cloud computing. These basically are how your specific service is set up. Each has their own particular guidelines, and those will be going over here next. There's the software as service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as service. Their abbreviations, respectfully, are SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. Let's start off with the software as a service. allows business subscribers uh, with applications to access it over the internet. These businesses have preloaded applications set. There's not really a whole lot they can do with this. They are provided by the provider. The infrastructure is provided by the provider, and there's not a whole lot you can do to alter, change, or modify it. Platform as a service, they, just like it says, they provide the platform. You provide all of the software and applications customized to be used by the company. Infrastructure as a service, this is um, uh, the most available and modifiable type service. You can put anything in this area. It's usually rented out by big companies offering online cloud storage. You put your own and you put your own items on there. OSs. The infrastructure is pretty much, there are a few things that you can do to change and alter, but it's pretty much uh, set in stone. But this does allow you um, the most leeway in how it is set up. Cloud computing is very important nowadays. Um, a lot of businesses are using cloud computing instead of big server rooms and big racks and backups and several air conditioners to keep them cold and all those different things. No more high electricity bill. Somebody else is managing that for you. Uh, you can access cloud anytime, anywhere. All you got to do is know how to access it, usually by some sort of authentication, and then you're in and you're able to access the files. Again, depending on the kind of service you have, you may be able to have predefined software, your own software, or your own operating system and software. It is backed up and it is retrievable if something should happen. Future of online storage most likely is going to be in the cloud. Uh, there is there is expected to be um, several several million terabytes of information stored in the cloud by the year 2020. So it is a service that has boomed where it started. It first started back in about 2010 and had approximately 2 billion terabytes of information. And now it is just blown up from there. People have realized the resourcefulness of running the cloud. However, there are security features or security um, problems storing all your information in an online source. Somebody could discover a vulnerability in the provider's cloud, allowing them to have access to the information that you store on there. So you kind of have to weigh out your options there. Um, and so basically, in the sum, you need to decide